disparaging remarks about the homes of some seniors that live in a public housing complex in Windsor. And Mr. Speaker, he was suggesting things in the House, and he got our attention. He got the members' attention. The Deputy Premier represents that area. He got my attention. I am the Minister. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, I would like to advise you that I personally visited this place and met with staff, went out of my way to meet some of the residents. I know that the Deputy Premier also did the same. I know the Mayor did the same. I know that the Warden took an interest in this. I know that candidates for the election took an interest in this. And I know that the residents took a great interest in the comments not only made by the Leader of the Opposition about their homes and the condition of their homes, but also by the letter that was published by the defeated NDP candidate for the area. And that gentleman's name is Sean Bennett. And I want to tell you something, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Bennett, I feel, was probably welcomed into these people's homes some few months ago when he had his meeting. Never did they realize how he and his leader were using them. So, Mr. Speaker, the indignation that I think is felt by those people that I have mentioned thus far is what I am trying to channel here, because, Mr. Speaker, what the message was from those residents was very clear, and as I tabled yesterday in my resolution to the House, there's one thing that they wanted, and that was a public apology from the Leader of the Opposition for the remarks that he made about their homes. And if the member opposite wants to get up right now and apologize, we can adjourn this debate now. If he does not get up, then I will continue. He is not getting up, Mr. Speaker. So I think that's regrettable. I think it's an honorable thing to recognize when you've made a mistake. I would suggest that he's made a mistake unless he gets some joy in going around and trashing seniors, which is what they feel that he has done to them. Implicitly, he has not only made disparaging remarks about the residents at Tremaine Crescent, 70 and 72, but he's also made disparaging remarks about the hardworking employees that work there, that work for the Annapolis Valley Housing Authority. And, Mr. Speaker, it is disappointing that the member from Cape Breton, no, it wasn't Cape Breton West. The member that represents New Waterford finds the way that I am defending the employees of the Housing Authority to be amusing, because, Mr. Speaker, I want to tell you, they did not find these comments amusing, but since I assume there's some sort of official record that be kept of this, perhaps they would be interested in how he is mocking their contribution towards assisting these seniors. Implicitly, he is also making insinuations about the seniors and the staff's working relationship, which, Mr. Speaker, I can tell you is second to none. Mr. Speaker, as I went around there, the staff member, who happens to be a gentleman by the name of Orrin Smith, was known by everybody. They referred to him on a first-name basis. They were pleased to see him. He knew everybody there. He knew when they'd come. He knew every concern they'd ever brought to him. He knew how he'd attempted to assist them, as did Jim Vidito, the district or the executive director for the Housing Authority. So there is a good relationship between the staff and the tenants. It's a warm relationship. They clearly like each other, and it's a good working relationship. And the Leader of the Opposition's comments implicitly reflected very poorly on the staff, as well as making regrettable statements about these seniors' homes. He has insulted these seniors who worked hard during their careers and now want to enjoy their retirement in this marvelous public housing development. The avalanche of indignation about his comments and offers of assistance for material that they wanted to have shared publicly with that honorable member was overwhelming. I got it from the residents. I have a voicemail message from the Mayor of Windsor, who, sir, is no fan of the leader of the NDP. I can tell you that because of your comments. I got it from the warden. I got it for people involved in the municipal elections. And of course, we know that the member for the area actually went out and got a petition, which he tabled here yesterday, indicating their indignation with his public comments and that of his defeated candidate, Sean Bennett. I would also suggest, Mr. Speaker, that this draws some interest on my part to the complete lack of mention of affordable housing in the NDP's 7 points in which they ran their election campaign, something which is not lost on the advocates over there for affordable housing, something that they have mentioned to me, their disappointment in that party's lack of public support for basically the housing authorities. And we see, Mr. Speaker, that clearly their lack of mentioning it as one of their 7 speaking points in their platform, if that was their election campaign platform, clearly it goes beyond that to go out there and publicly attack the residents and the staff and all those that are serving their community in the capacity as mayors, warden, councillors. I think it just reflects volumes on the leader of the NDP. And Mr. Speaker, how many minutes do I have? Because I have a lot that I'd like to share.
One and a half minutes.
1.5 minutes. How many? Okay.
You have till 6:08.
I am going to run out of time in this, unfortunately. But, Mr. Speaker, there are a couple of quotes that maybe the leader would not find so amusing. Norma Eldridge. We had to tone down her comments. She just wants to say she's very happy with her apartment and the service, and she believes that, and I'm not able to name him, but it's the leader of the official opposition, should apologize to the residents. And she would like it to be public. And that sentiment is echoed throughout the residents. Christina Fox, a 20-year happy resident, put her feelings in this manner. Disappointed with the Sean Bennett letter. Mr. Speaker, what I would like to say is that the leader of the NDP callously and deliberately used seniors to advance a political agenda, and that's what they feel, Mr. Speaker. He abused their trust, and those seniors want a public apology. Mr. Speaker, I am going to say something about the NDP. Anybody wishing to have their home publicly trashed can call their local NDP candidate or member.
Please. Order, please. Order, please. Time of the members expired. Recognize the honourable leader of the official opposition.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I must say I was, as I understand it, I don't know, was there someone from the Liberal caucus who was intending to speak? We speak third then, right? Yeah. That's the way it works. There was nobody sitting in the seats at the time. So if they're not...
Down member Cape Breton West, like to, sure, okay. Down member Cape Breton West.
Doesn't matter. Do you feel more comfortable?
I just like to finish up.
Okay. Well, Mr. Speaker, quite honestly, I had not contemplated on speaking to this particular piece of this resolution. because, quite frankly, I'm astounded that a minister of the Crown would introduce such a resolution for debate. Irrespective of his thoughts and his opinions about the leader of the NDP, irrespective of the feelings that the residents in this particular home have towards certain comments or actions that have been either made or taken with regards to the leader of the NDP or any other member of the House. There are processes to deal with this, but to use the valuable time and energy and resources of the House of Assembly to engage at this level of debate, I find absolutely astounding. And for a minister of the Crown, of all individuals, when we consider, Mr. Speaker, that we have this affordable housing program, some 1,500 homes that were supposed to be built over a 5-year period, we would have to construct at least 30 homes a month for the next 4 years in order to be addressing the problems that are very serious housing problems in his department. What about transition houses? What's the minister in his department doing in regards to that? Instead, he's engaging in this most parochial, just almost, well, I hate to use the word senseless, but that's the appearance that it has. I mean, you respect the honourable leader of the NDP and any other member of the House, whether you agree or you disagree with them. But this is bordering on personal attacks, Mr. Speaker. And I'm very concerned that we are allowing the level of debate to be engaged at this level. And thank heavens that the time has elapsed for the Minister of Community Services when he starts referencing that if you want your house trashed, or if you want somebody to call upon you, if your house is trashed, call an NDP member. Well, my heavens above, has the level of debate deteriorated that much? That's very concerning. And, you know, I know that the leader of the NDP can certainly defend himself. He's a very able and skillful debater and politician. We may not agree philosophically, but Mr. Speaker, I would submit that the Minister of Community Services deal with the number of individuals that are now going to food banks. There are over 300 a month going to the food bank in the city of Sydney. Absolutely. The students that attend in Wolfville that have to go. What about the more than 14,000 children that go to school every day, without having breakfast? What's the minister doing about that? Rather than engaging in this frivolous sideshow.
Why does the Premier allow him to do it? What about that increase he's giving to people in social assistance?
Mr. Speaker? Well, there was no thunderous applause for the minister advocating that they should stretch their dollars and eat more pasta. And that's essentially what the minister said. And I appreciate the fact that, look, it may be the first time in history that this has happened, or in a long period of time, and any amount of assistance, any amount of help that's offered by the department is welcome news. But don't make it into a grandiose thing in such a patronizing fashion as if you're doing a favor to people who are in genuine need. Mr. Speaker, it is absolutely unacceptable. And for the minister to waste the time and the resources of this House because of some political difficulty that he has with the leader of the NDP, or members of the NDP caucus for that matter, there's a time and a place to engage into that political sideshow. And I would respectfully submit that the minister accept the duties that he has dutifully swore himself to accept. Mr. Speaker, when there's heat, sometimes you have to get out of the kitchen. And I know there are rules on reference. And Mr. Speaker, sure, we would, well, it can't be any more clear, because it really should not have been before this House. It really not. And I've been here since 1988, and I've seen a lot of debates, and I've seen a lot of resolutions. Some, Mr. Speaker, you've called into question, you've ordered them out of order, and but Mr. Speaker, this is the first time I've ever seen a resolution of this caliber
In a minority government.
come before the House.
Bad enough it was majority, minority.
Now, it smacks of some type of an obsession that the Minister of Community Services has with members of the NDP caucus. Well, Mr. Speaker, it could be a member of the Liberal caucus tomorrow. At the rate he's going, it could be a member of the Conservative caucus, like the member for Kings North. The way he attacks his own government. You know, so it's quite dangerous. It's quite dangerous, Mr. Speaker, to be dealing with that. But there are some very serious issues, Mr. Speaker. We mentioned about transition houses. We mentioned about food banks. We mentioned about the affordable housing program. What about women's centres? What about all these other issues within the Department of Community Services? What about the ever-increasing number of individuals that are applying for assistance for upgrading their homes, seniors, that because they get to a certain age and their health deteriorates, they can't go up to the second story of their home where their bedroom is and the washroom is. They may have to do some moderate changes to their home. Why isn't the minister putting those issues here for us to deliberate and debate and to assist these individuals? We have tens of thousands, Mr. Speaker, right across this province who need help. They don't need these political shows, sideshows. They add very little to the constructive value of what we, as provincial legislators and public policy makers and advocates for our constituents, are supposed to be here doing. So I would hope not only the Minister of Community Services, but certainly, if not the government House Leader, but certainly the Premier should take notice of this. This is very concerning. What about the number of students that are attending university that, because of the increasing cost of transportation, for example in Cape Breton, 2/3 of the students travel every day to go to university, and the cost of fuel has effectively doubled since last year for many of them, but yet the cost of their transportation allowance has not increased. Absolutely. Mr. Speaker, there are many instances where they're trading off. They're trading off what little resources they have to try and make the best of a difficult situation. And we have a minister of the Crown that would come before the floor of this legislature and engage in a level of debate that I have never, ever witnessed, and I hope I will never see again. With that, Mr. Speaker, I will conclude my remarks.
Well, remember, we have about 35 seconds.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on a point of order, Mr.
Time if you wish to use it. Oh, okay.
On a point of order, Speaker, during debate at times, and I know you've disciplined members of the House before for showing lack of respect towards other members, and certainly it's something that some of us have been called to order on, but when the member from Kings North exited this chamber, it was clearly audible to us, derogatory comment and name was used towards the member from Cape Breton West, which could clearly be heard by myself and I know members of the official opposition, and I'm surprised that the Speaker may not have heard it, but that's entirely possible. But clearly I would hope that the Speaker would look into this, and at the end of the day we are all honourable members, and we've sometimes slipped by that, but to slip into name calling I think is completely unacceptable for this House.
Because anytime I do hear something, I'm on the record of saying, whether it's on the record or it's not, I've called members, to in question too on those issues. But anyway, I don't take up the honourable members' time. I'm the leader of the official opposition, but I will follow up on that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And You know, you live, you learn. Every day, I never really thought there would be a day when the member from Cape Breton West would stand up to defend me in this House. So I want to say that I appreciate his comments, and I've listened carefully to them, and I would agree that it is a shame that the time of this House was taken up with this kind of a resolution. But it does afford me an opportunity not to speak to the minister, but rather to speak to the people on whose behalf he says that he wants to speak. Because it seems to me, his passion for this resolution far outstrips his actual knowledge of the question which I asked on the day in question. Because the reality is, Mr. Speaker, and you can check Hansard, I went back and read the question because, I was concerned by what the minister was saying. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, I never at any time ever mentioned 70 Tremaine Crescent. Not once. Not by implication or otherwise. And in fact, what the minister did was indicate that somehow, I managed to disparage residents of a building I never mentioned, and so that's it says something about how far the minister was willing to go in order to try and reel me into what he thinks of, I suppose, is some kind of a controversy. And Mr. Speaker, what I did do was I talked about the conditions at the premises on 72 Tremaine. And I also referred in my comments to the minister to specific residents and to this specific resident and to the problem that particular resident was also experiencing. And Mr. Speaker, you may remember that I tabled at that time a series of photographs, and I'm going to table copies of those yet again. So if the Minister of Community Services cares to have a look at them, he can see them. And the purpose in the business that I'm used to being in, much like the business that you're used to being in, this is what they call evidence, an exhibit. So that people can see exactly what it is that you're trying to prove. And in each case, what I said in the question that I put forward was demonstrated or supported by the exhibits that I tabled in the House. The reason for this was to underline the particular difficulties that resident was undergoing in the place that she was living, but also to draw to the attention of the minister a wider problem with respect to the housing authorities generally and the lack of their resources and the lack of an overall maintenance schedule for the places in which the seniors of our province live. This is the proper role for the Leader of the Opposition. I would say the proper role for any member of this House to stand up and to bring to the attention of the government what is a deficit in the way in which they are dealing with the members of our various communities. That is certainly what I attempted to do and was trying to elicit from the minister a response that would help this particular resident and the others who were affected by this across the province. And I don't have any way of knowing all of the difficulties that occur in all of the different residents. I only know the ones that occur in mine, and I know that there are difficulties with the maintenance schedules because there simply aren't enough resources to go around. And I will say this: the minister, along with the member from that area, and apparently the mayor or warden, I can't remember which, went to what I'm told is they went to the building next door, that they didn't go to 72. Now, they may have gone to 72 as well, but they elicited a letter of complaint out of the building, which I never referred to, by apparently indicating to these residents who I understand did not see the exchange in question period. Only, I understand, saw a limited report in one of the newspapers and elicited from them a letter of complaint. Well, Mr. Speaker, I understand that, interestingly enough, shortly before the minister actually showed up, I understand that miraculously in 72, the one that I actually talked about, there was a good thorough cleaning that took place in that residence, which is great. I mean, I suppose in some small sense, we actually accomplished to a limited degree what we were intending to point out. I'm not suggesting that the threadbare carpets or the older curtains were replaced, and in fact, if you actually read the text of the question, what I asked for was not necessarily even that be done, but the schedule of maintenance that would ensure that it did get done would be made known to the residents of the building. That's what I actually asked for, because that's the difference between what the minister talked about, the implications of what I said and what I actually said, Mr. Speaker. So, it is, it's, I think, very disappointing that kind of activity would take place on behalf of the minister. Now, I understand, interestingly enough, from the individuals that I was talking to at that particular residence, I want to make 2 points. I'm not sure exactly how much time I have, but I want to make 2 points. One is that I understand those residents have now had an opportunity, because they have a videotape, of actually seeing the exchange. In other words, finding out what it was I actually said and what the response actually was. And they now have a better appreciation for what it was I actually said. And I understand they didn't have any problem with it. That's what I'm told. That's the first part. The second part is that because when I ask these questions, because I think, like most people in here, I take what I do here very seriously. I take my job as a representative of the people of Cole Harbour, but also my larger position as a representative of my party and as a representative of New Democrats across the province, because I take that very seriously. I wrote to the people in 70 Tremaine Crescent, and I told them that as soon as the House rose, that I was willing to come to them and to speak with them about any of their concerns. Because it's important not only that I get what I'm talking about right, as far as I know, what I said on that day was correct in all of its aspects, but it's important that I also know how they feel about the work that I do, because that's every bit as much important to me as the fact that I deliver it in a straightforward way. So I don't know if it makes the Minister of Community Service feel any better or not that he took the opportunity tonight to castigate me and to suggest that I had all kinds of motives, and that it was somehow nefarious, and that I wanted to abuse my position and to trash people. But I don't think that any objective individual who has watched my performance in this House or in my job since I've been elected would come to the conclusion that that was the purpose with which I set out. I set out to bring to the attention of the House what I consider to be a serious issue, and I want to promise you, Mr. Speaker, I intend to continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Time allotted for late debate has expired. The House will adjourn until 12 noon tomorrow.